Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MRN Out Loud. I'm Woody Cain. No racing for the Motor Racing Network this weekend. The Cup cars will be at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. At the end of the program, Brian Newman will be along to give us a preview of that track. Meanwhile, the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series are both off. However, we've got the most recent winner in both series joining us on the program this week. That would be Matt Crafton in the Truck Series and Brandon Jones in the Xfinity Series. They'll talk about where things stand in their respective seasons as we get set for this off weekend before they return to racing next week at Road America and Michigan. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, Matt Crafton joins us.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTire.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
The defending champ of the Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series joins us now. Matt Crafton, fresh off his win at Kansas Speedway. And in fact, Matt, fresh off a real hot streak. You guys, 4 straight top 5 finishes, including that big win at Kansas here before you take a little break. You got to feel like after some trouble, you guys have really turned this thing around lately.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Just getting the grill off our back, because we weren't going to call that a monkey. As bad as since the pandemic we came back, I mean, everything that could go wrong had went wrong. I mean, from Charlotte on. And we had great speed there, but you read the results, it didn't show it. I mean, a 35th and a 40th and blown tires at Homestead. So we were always good, but just never had any results to show for it. And now we're having something to show for it the last 4 weeks.
Do you feel like your experience, I mean, it's not like you're in your first ride here, having gone through some ups and downs before, because as we know, you will, if you stay in this game long enough, kind of gives you the mental fortitude to say, okay, if we just stay the course, this will even out for us.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's very tough mentally when you're going through the trials and tribulations of everything you go through to just want to, man, can I do this anymore? Or what's wrong? What do we need to do to change anything? But once you get that win and just get that momentum, and I knew once we hit the third, and the fourth, we were going to win. I mean, without a doubt. And I've been saying that here lately. We will win because we had the speed and everything to do what we've been doing here.
So as you mentioned, it's not like you guys have been out to lunch and just can't find yourselves. Most drivers say, as long as you've got the speed, the wins will eventually come. Now, looking forward, as you begin to make this push toward the playoffs, which I can't believe we're almost already to that point of the season after everything that's gone on, what do you want to see out of this team going forward? Are there a couple of areas you could tweak to feel like if we're a little better here and a little better there, we're going to be a contender?
Oh, yeah. That's without a doubt. Junior and every one of these guys on this team, I mean, they're going to be working on these trucks and just trying to make stuff a little bit better. We feel that we need a little bit more just speed. I mean, yes, we did win. Our truck handled very well, drove very well, but just a little bit off on the speed. Like I said, 18, he could get to my bumper. He couldn't pass us, but I felt if we would have had just a little bit more speed in the thing, and we feel like we know where we're off on that. So we felt confident we can get there as well.
You mentioned your crew chief, Junior Joyner, and before we started, I was telling you I had you guys pit box at Texas, and there you had to change 2 batteries, but still get a podium finish, a top 3 finish out of the thing. With the mechanical glitches that you've had to overcome, one of the things that has impressed me with the whole ThorSport organization is when I talked with your GM, David Pepper, he said, we spent this downtime building our fleet up so that when things go wrong down the stretch, we're not scrambling. Do you feel like that? Is that starting to pay off for you guys now?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we definitely had an arsenal of trucks that we've ran the same truck at Texas. We had one, and it was kind of the sister truck that we ran at Kentucky, and then we ran the same truck that we ran at Texas was our primary for Kansas. So there's just 2 really, really, really good trucks that we have on 1.5 miles, and we have a fleet of really good ones as well. But those are some that we've felt great about. One of the trucks, I think it was the truck that we ran this weekend, was actually the truck that we won the championship with at Homestead. So not a bad truck.
Yeah, not at all. Absolutely a really good truck. Matt, it's been crazy schedule-wise this year. Some of the races we thought we were going to be at, we're not at, and some of the places we didn't think we'd wind up at, we are. So eyeing the schedule, knowing that there are still some gaps there, what kinds of things jump out at you about the remainder of the schedule going forward?
I mean, just the really the unknown is going to Daytona. That's going to be very interesting, to say the least, with no practice. I mean, for me, everywhere we've been, I've been, and so I have numerous laps. But I mean, I can honestly say I feel bad for a lot of the rookies. These guys have never seen these racetracks, and they got to go in turn one and never have a green flag lap on it and try to figure it out. So they've actually done a really good job with it. But it should be a very interesting end of the year. And I know NASCAR is doing a phenomenal job at getting all the protocol and doing everything they need to do to get all these races in.
So we're kind of trading one road course for another here, going to Daytona and not necessarily going to Canada. But haven't you been there with some of the Rolex events before and had some laps? You haven't had a lap on that thing.
Never.
My goodness.
Never. Yeah, you got to see me. I got on the simulator a couple weeks ago, and I completely missed turn one. I mean, I ended up in the oval turn one. Like, dude,
did you turn your head and go, up there it went?
Yeah, I literally did. I mean, they're like, yeah, you passed it. Like, I did.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, that brings up a larger point though, Matt, with, as you mentioned, everything that NASCAR's had to do to get us back on track and get us back racing, no qualifying, no practice, a lot of these different things, we've seen experiments going on. Do you think some of these things will stick going forward? What are these elements that you have liked that we might keep going forward? Midweek races is another one.
That is number one that I feel that we should do, especially the Truck Series. The Cup Series, just seeing some of the TV ratings, that's been a little bit, I mean, that stinks because I thought the TV ratings would be very good. But I think the truck races are short enough where people can watch for an hour and 45 to 2 hours and watch a truck race on a weeknight. And a Cup race, sometimes maybe it's just too long, the 3.5 to 4 hours, and they're going to be up to midnight to watch it. So I think it'll be a great thing for the trucks to run midweek races, and just I'm excited to go. Hopefully we get all this to go to Richmond again and these short tracks. But I just remember like Thursday Night Thunder and stuff back in the day. I mean, all these other people are going, what is that? But I'm sure you remember it with the midgets and all that stuff. People love that stuff, and I think that would be a great place to run half the truck races or a third of the truck races doing stuff like that. Because I mean, every Cup race that's been on the weekday, I've watched. I've been the guy that's watched it till midnight or whatever it was. But a lot of people have to have an 8 to 5 job and don't want to stay up till midnight. So that's a little bit of downfall with Cup. But the truck deal, I think you could do that without a doubt.
Speaking of some of that Thursday night stuff, I saw a picture on your social media recently. I think you retweeted somebody else where they showed some pictures of a very, very young Matt Crafton making, I think, his first truck start for ThorSport, some early Southwest Tour stuff. That guy looked like he was about 12. If you could go back and talk to that guy today, what would you tell him?
I mean, just keep your head down and digging. I mean, at the end of the day, without a doubt, we had a lot of ups and downs with Duke and Ron Thorson. I mean, they've always stuck behind me. I remember the very first time, I mean, that was a long time ago, like 20 years ago, sitting down, talking with Duke and him telling me, you stick with me, I'll stick with you. And we did it. Yeah, we went our separate ways for 1 year, came back, and a lot of people are like, man, and you're coming back here. You guys had a lot of ups and downs, but we believed in each other, and they believed in me and had a phenomenal sponsor like Menards. But it was easy. It would be very easy to just get down on those ups and downs, just like what we've had here 4 weeks prior to this when we had all those bad races. And we had a lot of that. I mean, we had a lot of growing pains back in the day when I first started.
Are those kind of days you think, and I think I know what you're going to say, but is it sad to see that those kind of days are somewhat gone now, where you and a guy like Duke can sit down and have a handshake and it lasts all these years compared to how business oriented things are now? Not that you don't have to pay the bills, but you get what I'm driving at.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I've always said it, you will never find another owner as loyal and as good as Duke and Rhonda Thorson. They are, when he says something, he's going to do it. And I've been around this business long enough, and I've drove other people's stuff, but I've always still drove for Duke primary. And you just hear and see all the stories out there. You're like, man, I'm a very, very fortunate man to have such an awesome team owner. And I mean, and John Menard, I mean, he was one of the first ones to text me after the race this last weekend. And he said, I'm glad to see that truck back where it belongs, and we know you could do it. At the end of the day, that's very sweet when you got people like that behind you.
Let's finish with a couple of home questions, Matt. I saw where when we came back to racing, you were talking about how you had kind of been the fill-in home teacher for Elodie, your daughter. Is that coming up again whenever we go back to school or whatever comes of that? And whatever happened to the man cave? Did you get that built?
Yes, the man cave is 99% done. There's a little stuff here and there that I need to do, but I actually had a friend that details cars, and he came and stayed here, and he's from out of state, and he came and stayed up there a couple weeks ago, and he loved it. So my fiance, she calls it the doghouse too. So if I do get in the doghouse, so they got that done, and she actually surprised me one of the weekends in my office, and I love red. Every vehicle I have and RV I have is red, and she painted my office with red walls, but most people are like, red walls? But yeah.
It's like, I'm here. Here we go.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, Matt, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on the big win at Kansas. Take a deep breath now and get ready for that stretch run.
Yes. Thank you again. Appreciate it for having me on.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, I did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Brandon Jones joins us now from Joe Gibbs Racing, the most recent winner in the Xfinity Series. And Brandon, that has a pretty nice ring to it, I guess, for your ears. Second win of the season. You're up to 4th in the standings, and now you get a little breather to enjoy it for a little bit.
No kidding, man. I mean, what, not a better way to end it on off weekend, too. Now we get to go and take a breath, kind of go recuperate a little bit. And that was the longest week I've had, man. I've never actually competed, I don't think, in a triple header like that. And you go back in history, and, when Kyle and all those guys were doing that, I mean, that is just unreal that, that they were able to do that and put their bodies through that, because that was pretty brutal. I mean, Kansas was hot every single day, and it didn't matter if it was a nighttime race for the trucks or if it was in the day, it was all hot. So prepping my body for that was a big challenge for coming into that. I tried to limit no caffeine at all, and that was something way different I was doing, and trying to really put a bunch of water in me, a lot of electrolytes, and so all of it kind of paid off at the end. And the 2 truck races, I think, honestly did kind of help me for that Xfinity race. As soon as I got to the car, I knew exactly what line was working, what line wasn't working. Obviously a lot of differences between the fall trace and the way the truck drives compared to the Xfinity car, but the lines and the tire were very similar. So I think that was a pretty good advantage going into that race.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the double and triple duty thing. About a month ago, you won a truck race, and then it seemed like the bad luck just jumped on your back and started punching you in the back of the head, dude. You couldn't get out of anything. It seemed like anybody's way. All the wrecks happened right around you. But here lately, you had a really good run at Texas, and then you get the win at Kansas. Does it feel like you've turned things around? I mean, not that you weren't fast the whole time, but, man, sometimes luck just is all over you.
Yes, absolutely. And I came to Texas, I just wanted to finish Texas. And you mentioned it, man. We had a string there that just DNF after DNF, and that just gets so frustrating after a while. And you're going back, and there's nothing you can really do. You look and you're like, if I could have done that better, it wouldn't have changed the outcome any. And so that was what Texas was all about for me, was rebounding. There was some times that I could have forced some issues on people, I thought, and I could have been a little bit more aggressive, but I looked at it as a whole, and I'm like, we just got to finish a race, and we're not learning anything by not doing that. So we were able to do so there. We had a bunch of speed at Texas. I just don't think we were in the right place at the right time there with track position. And coming into Kansas, I had a bunch of confidence. That was the first Xfinity win for me last year there. And so as I was studying that race and stuff, and I had a bunch coming into that race, and we really weren't the dominant car. I mean, at times we were very fast. I mean, we were running times as good as the leader was, and if not better during that race. But I thought as a whole, we were maybe a fourth place car. And those restarts, man, at the end, it came down to that 2 times the past 2 years. And I've worked a lot on that this off season and throughout the entire season this year. was getting better with those restarts. That's where you start looking at the little details, and it's pit road, it's restarts, it's how you optimize the whole lap after a restart. So, I think all the things that I'm doing is in the right direction, and it's kind of showing and paying off for me here.
I think on the Cup side, the aero thing is a little bit more pronounced, where a guy can get out front and stay there. But even in the Xfinity series, it seems like most of the action is restarts now, because you just don't see many instances anymore of a guy just flat running somebody down and driving away from him, do you?
Not really. I mean, we are so close, and I think all three series at this point are the top 12 to 15. Man, we run such tight lap times that you're at the mercy of them messing up pretty much. I mean, you're trying to pressure them the entire time into slipping, and it's just a tenth of a second, each lap, and that eventually equates to a bunch of position. And so, if you're able just to barely optimize the tire and the track a little bit better than the guy in front of you, then eventually you're going to get him. But it is crazy. I mean, there's times that when you're going 190 to 200, the arrow is so much bigger than if you're going 100 on a restart. So that's where you see those guys really trying to make it time up, because the arrow kind of goes out the window on those restarts. Obviously, you see guys side drafting hard on restarts, but it isn't as big as when you pull up to somebody behind them going 200 versus 100. So that's kind of where you see those guys really making moves, is because the car is handling great for you on restart. So if you can make some time there, then it's going to be hard for that guy to pass you when you get going.
The Xfinity series, another big difference to me is the composite body. We're over a year with that under our belts now. The Cup guys say a lot of times, man, we just can't keep the fenders off the wheels when we have just a little minor bit of contact. The Xfinity series, you guys seem to be able to take a lick and keep on rolling. What has been your experience with this composite body? How do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great, man. I mean, there are plenty of times that we've all taken hits that would have ended your day in the Cup Series, 100%. And I go back before these races and watch film from previous races, and you can actually really start seeing, when people hit the wall, what it does to the car, and it's very minor. And I've had incidents this year that we've hit the wall a couple times or brushed off of it and kept going and no issues. And eventually you're going to run into, if you hit it hard enough, the body's not going to be the problem. It's breaking parts and breaking suspension components. So obviously those things take you out of the race. But yeah, I mean, these bodies, I think, hold up fairly well, and you can continue to bounce off the wall and keep going. And that's great for places like Kansas, Homestead, Auto Club. I mean, those are all tracks that you are, up against the fence. And I don't think you can do it, without bouncing off the wall if you're going to be competitive. I mean, you're optimizing every bit of that track yeah, you can. So it's going to happen eventually.
I want to go back to something you mentioned a minute ago about trying to be real hydrated for the heat of the last few weeks. And we're right in the dog days of summer, if you will. It's just hot as can be almost every single place we go. A, who are you working with to keep your body at optimum performance? And B, have you ever done one of those things where you weigh yourself before and after to see how much weight you might lose during a race?
Yeah, so I mean, this year I've been working really closely, actually with Blake Cook. He's been doing a really good job of helping me not only prepare for these races, but he knows what you got to do to be good at the end of a race too with your body and fitness. And so he's been helping me there a little bit. I've always been, with a buddy of mine on the fitness side of things. Once the shutdown and everything happened, obviously our gym shut down and everything. So I was kind of on my own, and I've been enjoying it though, man. I really do. I like the fitness aspect of it and the preparation that goes into a race weekend. So I've done a lot of studying myself on how to do it properly. So there's just, in my opinion, to do something like that, there's no good way. I mean, you're going to eventually deplete all of it out. There's nothing you can do about it. So there's just a couple of things that you can do to prevent it from worsening, but that's kind of the path that I've been taking to prep for these races, because like you said, I mean, everywhere we go, it's going to be hot at this point.
Have you lost a bunch of weight in a car during a race? And what's the hottest you've ever felt in a race car?
I typically actually don't lose much weight. I think I probably lose maybe close to 4 pounds, 3 to 4 pounds, which, in hindsight, that's not a bunch compared to probably what some guys go through. And I'm not really one that sweats just a ton in a car. I mean, obviously we're sweating, we're hot. But I think I just get, the heat just will eventually get to you, man. I mean, there's multiple times that that you're sitting there in your face, you can feel your pulse through your face, it's throbbing, and at that point you're like, oh man, I'm getting hot, it's not good. So that's the thing that that I've been trying to figure out, is just how to keep my body cold during the race, if possible. A lot of guys now are switching to those cool suits lately. You see a lot of people really going to that vest that that has the water in it that circulates. I know a lot of people in the Cup Series are doing it, and now you see some guys in Xfinity doing it. So I think that's a great, option to go with, and may help if you get your hands on one of those.
What's the hottest you've ever felt in a race car? Not necessarily the temperature, but the hottest you've ever felt in a race car.
Man, Homestead this year was really bad. Kansas was really bad. And then I've had one, actually at Auto Club. You never know what you're going to get when you go to California. It could be cold there, or it can be hot. And I've actually had BJ McCoy carry me back to the hauler because I stood up and I said, there's no way, man, I'm getting ready to throw up. So, he passed by and he looked at me, he goes, you don't look good. And I said, I'm not doing good. And he said, come on, I'll carry you back over there. So, yeah, man, I've had some events that have been just brutal, and it's so crazy because your adrenaline is so high in the car that you're like, man, I'm hot, but I can keep going. There's no problem at all. And then it's over and you stand up, and that's when it feels like it just dumps out of you. So that's when you really feel the effect of it.
Let's look ahead a little bit. You get the extra weekend to enjoy being the most recent Xfinity Series winner, but when you come back, it's Road America, only like a 40, 45 lap race, and that sounds like nothing until you realize how huge that track is. Tell me about racing at Road America. It's a cool facility.
Oh, very crazy, man. Very cool racetrack. It's a place where it's like you almost get lost out in the woods. I mean, the place it's got such a big area that you're going through trees, you're climbing hills, you're doing all kinds of stuff. And for a road racer, I mean, it's got the best of everything. You've got elevation change, high speed corners, low speed corners. I mean, it's got pretty much everything that you can find at road courses. And it's a handful for our Xfinity cars, to say the least. I think that in the past, I've done Trans Am there. I've done a bunch of different stuff, TA2, just trying to get ready for that race. And the only issue that I run into with that is that those cars drive so good, and you get in one of them and you're like, man, I'm like, all of a sudden I'm a road racer. And then you get into our car and it's kind of a reality check, and you can't drive it like you can drive those TA2 cars and stuff. And so this year we have really put our focus at our Toyota racing facility with the simulator they have there. They've done a great job of using their drivers that they have, and actually making laps so we can kind of go follow that car and stuff. And so that's been a really big help. We did that at Indy this year, so we had no laps there, coming to that race, and I felt really prepared when I got there. So we're going to do the same this year. We've been wearing it out at Road America. I know we're going to do the same for the Daytona Road Course coming up. I know that was probably your next one, but
yeah,
man, just some crazy tracks coming up here with no practice or anything. So we're going to really use that simulator a bunch to try to get ready.
Have you ever done the IMSA races, the sports cars, or any of that stuff on the Daytona Road Course at all, or will this be your first time running it when we get there?
This will be the first time being on the track. I know Kyle ran the 24-hour race a little bit, so I've got I think a decent relationship with Kyle at this point from running his trucks and stuff that we could probably talk a little bit about it. But at the same time, going back to what I said, I mean, he's in a Lexus car and we're going to an Xfinity car. So, man, it's just going to be so hard to try to relate that. But I got confidence that, we've got iRacing as a tool, and then we have that Toyota simulator as a tool. I think we'll be fairly ready by the time we get there.
Well, let's end with this then. With all that going on, we've had a bunch of midweek races. We've had the double headers, races that on tracks that we've never been at before. And it's kind of been forced on us because of the environment we find ourselves in with the pandemic. What of these things that have been kind of experimental do you hope stick going forward?
It's definitely been a little tough on me not having practice or anything. And before the pandemic hit, having practice, we just got this SMT tool, and it's not quite to the Cup level yet. We don't have live traces and stuff, but it's still GPS driven. So you can see a lot of things on that. And we were having a first practice session and then going, in between first and second practice. And I was looking at that the entire time and dissecting exactly what needed to be changed on that car. We have it during the race too. It's just that I can't see it. Only the crew chief can see it. So he's actually been doing a really good job. Jeff Mendering has of, I think, kind of relaying what he's seeing on that to the spotter, and then the spotter saying, "Hey, you're getting beat here. What do we need to do better?" And so we've been kind of adjusting off that a little bit. So that's kind of what's hurt me. But I don't know. I mean, the line up and race thing is kind of fun at the same time. I mean, it gives a whole new meaning to it. The prep work, I think, is even more extensive going into a race weekend, and looking at video hard. So if anything that I get out of this, it's more study tools. It's I think I'm better in myself at looking at these races and picking up even more of the small details as we go along. So there's positives and negatives to just about everything you do.
Yeah, absolutely they are. Well, Brandon, congratulations on the big win at Kansas. Look forward to catching up with you at Road America. I'm looking forward to calling a turn out there as you guys go flying by. That's always a lot of fun. And just soak it up for a week and enjoy it, man. You got it now, and nobody can take it away until we get to Road America, right?
That's it, man. And I think that, once we get past these couple of road courses here, we still got a lot of tracks that are right up our wheelhouse. And I think that we're going to be a contender when we get to the end of this thing. So I appreciate it, man. I enjoy having on here, and look forward to the next time.
So Brandon Jones, the most recent winner in the Xfinity Series, an off weekend for them before they return the following weekend. Now, the Cup Series is in action, as we told you, this weekend, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Ryan Newman is a 3-time winner there, and I asked him, with that resume, why has he said in the past it's not his favorite track, and what's the impact of traction compound at New Hampshire?
I guess just to clarify, I declared it as one of my least favorite back then before I won there. And it's been a favorite track of mine to be able to hustle the car at. And like I said, have that level of finesse that you need and that balance of hustle and finesse. But it's a challenge to pass there. And the PJ1, I would say, of all places, has been probably the most advantageous at Loudon to be able to have multiple grooves, and that changed throughout the race. So I don't know what the application process is going to be. From what I've seen and what I've experienced this year, I don't know that people at the racetrack know what they're doing with it. But the reality is that sometimes in some ways it gets put down, and it is what it is for everybody at the racetrack. And it's no different than a dirt track if the guy runs a couple extra laps with the water truck.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. We also want to thank Matt Crafton, the defending champ in the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series, and Brandon Jones, the most recent winner in the Xfinity Series. Our friends at the Performance Racing Network have the action at New Hampshire this weekend. Motor Racing Network will be back the following weekend with races at both Road America and at Michigan. Until next week, I'm Woody Cain.